Good evening, guys, and happy Saturday to all of your sunshiny faces, guys. We got back from Matthew's. I was telling you guys his like tugs fraternity competition that they have, which is like tug of war sort of, but in sort of a different sense a little bit. So like they, you know, I it's hard to explain it because like the way Jack was saying it too is like tug of war, you normally are trying to pull another team like across a line, versus like the tugs that they do is like there's like a knot, or like, you know, I think they just have it like duct taped or whatever of the one spot on the rope, and then they have 3 nails, and there's like you have to try and get that knot to your side, and they dig trenches, and they have like this whole thing where they like tape up their arms so they don't get like rope burn, and they have like an anchor then at the end that has like these pool noodle kind of things that like they wear, and they normally go like they go best of 3, and so it's a very sort of complex but like hard to explain sort of sport. Like there's nothing that's super similar to it again other than it's like a tug of war, but it's not even in the same sense. Like they dig in trenches, they are not standing up. It's not, like I said, like kind of that sense of like tug of war. So anyways, though, they had that today. I told you guys how on Tuesday we went, then on Thursday we went super late, and the funny thing is that all 3 days, my mom was saying this too, she's like, we've had all 3 seasons in those 3 days of tugs. On Tuesday it was nice and actually pretty warm. I think I might have worn like I don't even know what I ended up wearing that day, but I didn't wear a jacket or anything like that. I think I wore a sweatshirt and like pants or something like that, like jeans. And that was it. It was like nice and very warm out and sunny and everything like that. Then on Thursday, I told you guys how they had to move it back so late. They didn't start until 9 o'clock because of the thunderstorm that was rolling through. Whereas earlier in the day, it was kind of warm. By the end of the day, it was cold and rainy and just kind of like, it wasn't freezing cold because I didn't dress very warm, but I wasn't completely frozen. So like, you know, we had rain and all that stuff on Thursday. Then today, about an hour before we left, it was snowing out, and it was very cold. But the funny thing is that it was cold when it was windy. When the sun was out, actually, and I mentioned this to Jack too, I was like, geez, when the sun's out and like, you know, it was shining down and there was no wind, I was like, I'm actually starting to get a little warm. Like I wanted to take my layers off because I had layered up so much, because I was like, I'm not going to be caught off guard again like I was on Thursday. You know, that was just really unfortunate. So I layered up today, and I stayed warm the whole time, which is really nice. But they ended up winning, guys. They actually had a 3-peat. So this was the first place like, you know, time that they won in a row. And so I want to say though, so they won this year. They won last year. I believe the year before that they did it, but they had to cancel it. I don't know if it was also like a forfeit or how exactly it ended up happening, because I think there was a problem with like COVID and stuff like that too. And either there was like a testing problem or like something like that. But I think because it was this year was the first year Matthew said that they weren't having it like managed, or like they weren't having it on school grounds. They were doing it in a lot behind their fraternity, which I think Matthew actually said that his fraternity actually owns the lot, but it's like an empty lot. So they ended up doing it there this year. So like it was still kind of sanctioned by like the college, but it was more of like a fraternity kind of thing. Like, because I know that they had what looked like to me was like someone from like the and Matthew was even saying too, like they got out of school for like, or out of classes on the days they had tugs, so I think on Tuesday and Thursday, and that's like through again the college, so it's recognized by the college, if that makes sense. But it wasn't, I think because it wasn't on college grounds. Like I know on Tuesday I saw people with like lanyards that were from the college, not just from like the like fraternity board, which is what I think puts it on. And the sororities also do it too. I think that they do it in the fall. So they had that like earlier, and normally the guys, they end up like coaching like the girls, like, you know, the guys from the fraternities will coach the sororities tugs. So anyways, though, like I was saying, I think though that because of it though, I think that year prior, so this was 2023, 3, so it was 2022, so 2021, or yeah, 2021, I think they had something where, like I was saying, they couldn't, you know, like they ended up forfeiting, because I think Matthew was saying they were training for it, but then they weren't able to compete, or they only did like the first round, and then after that they weren't able to anymore, or something like that. I don't know if like people had COVID or something, but for whatever reason, I think he was saying that they then couldn't like do it. So but I think the year prior to that, in 2020, I want to say it was actually before COVID. But see, I always think, I think it was after, so maybe it wasn't 2020. Maybe that year was just completely canceled. So maybe 2019 was the last year, but I think that they won that year. And so, like I was saying, that was the only thing that makes sense, because I know, like, Matthew was home for spring break when the school got shut down, you know, or like, you know, schools went to online, you know, classes or whatever in 2020. And so, and the competition for tugs is after spring break. So I don't think that, like I said, they had it at all in 2020. But like I said, I think the year prior to that, so it might have been 2019 that they won that year. I think possibly. I'm not 100% sure. But anyways, and that kind of makes sense too, because Matthew like never really talked about it, and I think that was maybe because he wasn't actually like in school that, or wasn't in the fraternity, because he was at school for 1 year, I think, or yeah, I think 1 year, like 2 semesters before he ended up joining the fraternity. And so I think maybe he did that year, but I don't think he competed if they did have it, which would have been, I think that was actually 2020, like the 2019-2020 season, or like school year. And so like the 2020 season was when they didn't have it. So I think 2019 he wasn't actually a part of the fraternity yet. I think possibly. But again too, I know that the last 3 years that they've had the competition successfully, they've won. So that was really cool. They had actually all 3 of the trophies out there at the same time. They're like huge trophies. Like I think Matthew said they're like 6 feet tall or something like that. I know when I was standing next to it, it was taller than me. So like I said, I think there's something like 6 feet tall trophies. It was really cool. It was really awesome. They ended up winning. It was really close. So like I was telling you guys, it's best of 3. Their first match was super close. They won by like a super fine margin, and like it was like back and forth the whole time. And it's funny though, because that was kind of how it went last year when they won. It was very close, like back and forth. And then I think though that like the knot was on the other team's side for most of that match, like my dad was saying too, and I want to say that was actually how it went. And then they ended up just barely getting it across to their side right before they ended up like finishing it, because I think they go 10 or 20 minutes, maybe something like that. I want to say it's 20, maybe 15 minutes is how long the time goes. But then what they have to do is they have to like win. So the first, like I said, the first rope they won. Then the second rope had to basically get, I think this is how it works. Like I said, I don't know the rules all that well, but they had to pull it all the way across so that the other team actually doesn't have any rope left on their side in order for it to end in 2 matches, I think is also how it goes. If not, that first rope has to come out again, and they switched. So Matthew's actually on second rope. Last year he was on first rope. So that first rope, like they come out a second time if it ends up going into like, even though the other team might win, but if their second rope doesn't like get the other team to, like I said, kind of like run out of rope or whatever, kind of like forfeit sort of, I guess, like I said, I don't entirely know the rules, but just from what I've heard, like, you know, like I said, that's the sort of how it works. So then that first rope would have had to go out again. So Matthew is saying that the second rope, they were working so hard to try and get it to not go back to the first one, because again too, if it did, it could be really close. And what happens is that I think it's an unlimited time for the third rope then, like for that last, you know, like I said, best of 3, if that, even if the other team like wins both, I think, like I said, I'm not entirely sure. So it could be best of 3, but you still have to play sometimes a third like rope with the first rope like like tuggers. And so like I said, I think that's how it works. I don't really know entirely that well, but like my dad was re-explaining it today, and also too because Matthew's friend that he went to high school with, that he's still super good friends with, he actually ended up coming out today. So you know, my dad was kind of re-explaining the rules. So this was from my understanding from what he said, which again too, he's no expert on them and doesn't, you know, like do tugs or anything like that, whereas Matthew does. He'd be a little bit better of a person to have asked and answered the questions for, but like I said, it was really fun that, you know, we were able to go out there today and to go and spend some time sort of in the sun, but you know, it was funny though, because it was snowing beforehand, and I was like, I should have maybe brought like a you know, my rain jacket today, because it seemed like it was gonna rain, and we never got rain, so it was really nice. But you know, it was really cool to have, you know, to see them, you know, win again, because this is Matthew's last year, so they won, which was really awesome. Also too, because like Matthew was saying, I think all of the guys on the second rope, which was what he was a part of, he was the only one that had ever tugged before. And so they actually put him, originally he was going to be on first rope, but they put him on second rope so they had like experience, because nobody else had done it. And like my dad was saying too, is that when they did it on the first like Tuesday night, he was like, that you guys just looked a little off, like that second rope. And he was like, yeah, I think it was, you know, just like the inexperience, and the guys were really nervous and stuff like that. And so they looked really, really good, I thought. And you know, like I said, the other, you know, on Thursday night, and then again to today, was really awesome. So that's why though, guys, it takes about 45 minutes to get to Matthew's school, and we've done that 3 times this week. So that's why too, I feel like I have been staying sort of on top of things a little bit, and you're trying to do editing and uploading and staying on top of dishes and laundry and, you know, all of my normal things that I try and do throughout the week. But I just feel like because we've had such, like, you know, that it takes up a good chunk, like even I think on Tuesday though, it was fairly quick, and Thursday, even though like the match before us on Thursday, like before Matthew's match on Thursday, theirs went 3 ropes, I think, and so like 3, you know, matches or whatever, and so theirs took a while. So I think Matthew's actually started a little bit later on Thursday than it was supposed to, like 9:10 or 9:15 or something like that, and so like I said, they were supposed to start at 9, and like, again, that was already late, and they pushed it back and delayed it and all that kind of stuff. And so because of that though, they, you know, we were out late though on Thursday. But for the other days, again too, it's been like right in the evening. Like again too, I was telling you guys, like on Tuesday I like didn't cook, and I didn't really like, you know, and even Thursday too, then I was struggling because then they pushed it back, and I didn't know like what to do, you know, like with dinner and stuff like that, because they canceled it, then they didn't cancel it, and then like we didn't know that until like Thursday afternoon sort of even too. And so it's just been a lot of like hectic kind of like chaotic, you know, like back and forth kind of going on. And again too, I feel like Thursday, just with the unpredictability also of what was going on and stuff like that, but just, you know, having large chunks of the week kind of, or the days during this week, and like every other day pretty much taken up, has just, I haven't gotten into that good kind of routine and rhythm for this week. So that's why I feel like I haven't gotten that much stuff done, but it was worth it to see them win again, which was really awesome. So anyways though, I am going to take a shower and get to bed, because now I came home and I was freezing cold, so I stayed in basically everything that I had wore to the competition today. I was wearing like sweatshirts. I actually had on like a thermal under this. I had this on, then I had another sweatshirt on over that. I had my hat on, I had leggings, and then jeans over my leggings, and then I had 2 pairs of socks on. I only took my sweatshirt off, and now I'm like, I'm roasting. I need to go take like a cooler shower. But it was like cold today. It was only, like I said, like snowing and like 45 degrees today, so it was fairly chilly to be outside. It was honestly reminding me of football weather, so like I said, I was very prepared for it, because you know, those Friday night football games were sometimes a little bit more brutal because we don't have the sun on Friday nights. And so when it's that cold and the wind's whipping and there's no sun, it gets much chillier, I feel like, than today did. But it was still pretty nasty. So like I said, when I came home, I really haven't changed out of anything that I ended up going there in, and now I'm very warm because I finally feel like I've warmed up. So again, I'm gonna go take a shower and then get to bed. But we've got Jewel to get to tomorrow, so I should have that haul for you guys in tomorrow's vlog. But if you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye guys.